Hello everybody, it's Michael Knipp, and a lot has happened since we last spoke. February was a short month, but it was a jam-packed month for me. So there's a lot of things that I want to address, but let's start off with the books that I read in February. First, I read Dresden Files book number 4, which I believe is called Summer Night. I also believe it's book 4, maybe it's not book 4. But I read Summer Night. It was the one with the fairies. I don't think that's a very big spoiler. My experience with the Dresden Files so far is that they are fun, but they are like maybe surface level. Like some of the things work, some of the things don't work. The things that work are a lot of the humor is funny. The character of Harry is one that I want to get behind. Also, I love the idea of him being a paranormal investigator. The things that I don't love, some of the humor is not funny. Sometimes the cases feel like they're so complicated that you're not supposed to be able to follow what's going on. Like you can read the book and not really care about the actual case itself. Not that the pieces aren't there, but the pieces are sometimes so complex or like sort of take a background to the other elements. I don't know. I felt like with Summer Night especially, there were so many moving pieces and so many different things going on that I never really was like in a mode where I was like, oh, I'm going to follow this. I'm going to try to guess what's happening. It was more like, okay, all of this crazy stuff is happening and I'm here for the set piece moments. There is some good humor there. There's also some corny humor there that doesn't work for me. Overall, it's definitely an enjoyable experience. The Dresden Files books are ones that I sort of just use as palate cleansers between other reads. And they've been working for that. I know that at some point the series is supposed to get deeper and more involved, but from the beginning, it's really not that. The next book that I read was the Patreon buddy read pick for this month, which was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And I have a review video for that one up, which I can link in the cards. But basically, Addie LaRue was a book that I loved in concept. I didn't necessarily love in execution. It was a book that I liked. Sometimes I think the prose and the concept got in the way of enjoying the story. Like I think there were some really highbrow things that were trying to go on both with the characters and also with the telling of the story. And I feel like it didn't stick the landing on either of those points. And my struggle to fully connect with the characters did not mean that I didn't enjoy the atmosphere of the book. The book evokes a mood and a sense of place that does work. It was a book that was paced in a way that I wanted to know what was going to happen. I read the book fairly quickly, but while I was interested and wanted to push through the story, it's not something that stuck with me or hit me in a super heavy way. I guess that's not surprising as I know people that absolutely love it and know people that absolutely hate it. It's just one of those divisive books. For me, I fell in the middle. The book takes place partially in the present time and then partially in like a historical fiction time zone, but I don't think it actually scratches a historical fiction itch. I think it's more of just, I don't know, a way for them to explain the way that the premise of the story works. It's such a strange experience. The next book that I read was also another mediocre experience. It was the first book in the High Republic era of Star Wars. It's called The Light of the Jedi. That video I also have posted a dedicated review for, but essentially it's the beginning of this new Star Wars era, and I think maybe it was a little too ambitious for what it was trying to do, which is establish the world and the state of everything, while also trying to tell this massive story that was really not that deep overall. And the method of storytelling that they used was, instead of following characters as they journey through the story, it sort of followed the plot as it came into different characters' lives. And so you bounce between a significant number of characters throughout the story. You don't get to actually spend any time with them, so in that level they also felt shallow. So you have a shallow plot told through shallow characters. It was interesting enough. It didn't turn me off from reading the next Star Wars book, but it wasn't necessarily something that I had to go out and wholeheartedly recommend to lots of people. But I'm glad that I did it. And then, because everyone that I know was joining along with Alan from the Library of Alexandria's buddy read of the Red Rising series, and that's a popular series that I've never checked out myself, I thought, what the heck? Some people love this book, some people hate this book, I'm going to read Red Rising. And I read it really fast, and I loved Red Rising, and I made a video for that one as well. I thought it was amazing. I think that the normal way that people describe the book, which is Hunger Games in space, was quite disingenuous, which I address in my dedicated review for the book. I know that a lot of people talk about the first book in the Red Rising series not being very good, and then Golden Sun really stepping it up from there. That was not my experience at all, as I was invested basically from the origin of Red Rising. And because I read the book so fast, at no part did it feel slow for me. There were some things that I don't think were executed as well as they could or should have been, and I sort of chalk that up to it being a young first-time author. Nevertheless, Absolutely was in love with that one. Easy 5 stars for me. Once again, for more specific thoughts as well as some rebuttals for common criticisms of the series, I will point you to my dedicated review. And then the final book that I read for this month, which I actually just finished today, was Red Seas Under Red Skies, the sequel to The Lies of Locke Lamora. So The Lies of Locke Lamora was this amazing book. I actually have a dedicated review for that one. It's one of my older reviews, so I can't speak for its level of quality. I try not to go back and watch some of that stuff. But I absolutely loved that book. I described it as a perfect blend of Pirates of the Caribbean and The Fast and the Furious with like maybe cruder humor. And that book absolutely worked for me. In fact, when I finished that book, before I used my reasonable brain, I thought there is no way someone cannot enjoy The Lies of Locke Lamora. I was wrong, of course. Everything is subjective, and it's possible for people to not enjoy this book that I absolutely loved. But regardless, I thought it was amazing. But for some reason, I never picked up the sequel, Red Seas Under Red Skies. My friend Casey from Lost in a Bookcase, whose channel I will link below, read The Lies of Locke Lamora recently, and she absolutely loved it. There's a part of the book where a major plot twist happens, and she flipped out. She was crying, and she was messaging me and some other friends, and I thought it was amazing. And I said, hey, if you're planning on reading Red Seas Under Red Skies, let me join the buddy read with you. And maybe that was a jerk thing for me to do, but I wanted to read the book with somebody that was excited. So I buddy read Red Seas Under Red Skies with Casey, and that was fun. Unfortunately, we sort of came to a disagreement on what we thought of the book. Casey is going to be posting her review soon. I think she's already filmed it, but I don't know when it's going live. My thoughts of the book are, I thought it was 4 stars. It wasn't as good as the original book. I think there is a case to be made that the book needed an editor, and the editor would be able to help with some pacing issues, maybe some actual plotting issues with the book itself. I think a lot of the dialogue and the banter and the humor in the book is excellent, but there are obvious flaws in the book that I don't remember being present in the first one. Nevertheless, I still very much enjoyed this book. I'm potentially looking forward to reading the 3rd book, The Republic of Thieves, this month, just because I would love to say that I actually finished some dang series, or at least finished what was available to me at this time, but we'll see if that actually happens. Regardless, I enjoyed the book. It wasn't as good as the first one. And I think that tends to be mostly the common sentiment with people. I will use this opportunity to say to Sarah Hart's Books, who is one of my original BookTube friends who pushed this series way hard back in the day, I feel bad for not reading the rest of this series sooner, because I did enjoy it. There should be a video review going up for Red Seas Under Red Skies after this video at some point. And those are the books that I read in February. Now let's move on to the books that I'm hoping to read in March. This is very ambitious. When I started this channel, I was fairly conservative with my TBRs, and then I would kill them. And then I got too ambitious, and I got to the point where I said, I'm not doing TBRs anymore. Well, I got to the point where I started trying to do some TBRs again. I made them very safe, and I hit them. And then I started getting too ambitious again, which is where I am now. So here is what I am hoping, pie in the sky, to be able to read in March. In all likelihood, there's no way all of this gets read, but let's jump into it. First of all, the joke book. The book I've been saying I am going to read for a lot of months now, 2 months now, I think. There is a possibility that I will read J War this month. I don't know how high that possibility is. I own the book, so it is a thing that I can read, but it's something that I'm hoping to buddy read with a friend, and we'll see how that goes. That's going to probably continually be the book that I say I'm going to read and that I don't actually touch, but maybe this is the month. Who knows? The first book that I'm definitely planning on reading this month, because it's the Patreon buddy read pick for my Patreon, is Howl's Moving Castle, which just so happens to fit along with Middle Grade March. Middle Grade March, in case you don't know, is a big booktube event where a lot of people read middle grade books, which is a genre that probably doesn't get enough love. This year, I'm not participating as much as last year. The ladies behind the channels that run Middle Grade March are absolutely wonderful. They're very sweet human beings. It's Life Between Words, The Curly Reader, and Books and Jams. They are, once again, very, very kind and sweet ladies, and if that is something that you are interested in, you should go check out their channels, and there's lots of people that participate in this. Nevertheless, Howl's Moving Castle is a middle grade book, and thus counts as maybe me tangentially sort of participating in Middle Grade March, even in a minor way. A book that I have started, but I haven't got that far into, is Sunlin Ascends. Sunlin Ascends is one of Alan's favorite books. It's a book that's been getting a lot of traction here on BookTube. I originally heard about it from Ramsey over the channel Rajathon, and it was a book that was generously gifted to me by Evie from She Was Only Evie. From what I've read so far, that book is weird in the right way. And I've heard from Alan as well as others that it is very good overall. I'm looking forward to continuing with that one. So because I loved Red Rising so much, I'm also going to be continuing along reading Golden Sun this month. I'm expecting very good things because people said that Red Rising, the first book, wasn't that good and Golden Sun is much better. Well, I'm expecting it to be so because I thought the first book was amazing. So this book may just blow me out of the water. Looking forward to reading that one this month. Another book that I've had my eye on for some time, but I have not yet picked up myself, was a book called The Only Good Indians. After my friend Una at the Codex Cantina and Leslie Smith from the channel The Nerdy Narrative picked this book up and gushed about it, I finally pulled the trigger and said, I have to read this book. I'm going to make it happen. So I've started that. I'm not very far into that yet. It is like a literary fiction in some ways and also horror book, I believe. I'm very, very interested and invested from the part that I am in the story, which, like I said, is not very far, but I want to know how that goes. Honestly, I think the first person that I saw review this book that made me really interested in it was Scott from Book Invasion. I will link his channel down below as well. He did a review that talked about the book in a way that just, it kept it in my brain, even with all the other things that I read, mostly fantasy. I was always thinking about it. In fact, if you ask anyone that was involved in the voting for the Buddy Reads section on my Patreon, I have put that book as an option to vote on, I think, every single month since I first heard about it. Unfortunately, none of my friends wanted to read it with me, so I have to read it by my dang self. And if I love it, I'm going to make a video review, and everyone is going to be guilty of not wanting to read this awesome book with me. But I'm not salty. It's fine. Now we got to get to something crazy. So in my last wrap-up TBR, I talked about how Evie was very generous and sent me books. People, I got a bunch of books this month, and I was overwhelmed. Like, someone sent me a message and said that they sent me a book, and I was immediately floored. I was like, that is so kind. I was very, very thankful. And then more books showed up, and I was like, what the heck happened? And I realized that I got books from more than one person. And so I'm going to go grab those right now. First, there's this. I don't know if you can see this. This is the entirety of the Broken Earth trilogy sent by my friend Amy. Thank you so much. She noticed that I hadn't read this and she wanted to hear my thoughts on it. I've never really read much N.K. Jemisin, but I have heard some good things about this series. I've heard some mixed things about this series, but part of it fascinates me. I am very, very grateful. Thank you so much, Amy, for sending that. And not only did you send it, but you sent the full trilogy. That is, I don't even know what to do. Thank you. So that showed up, and at the same time, some other books showed up from someone that I previously mentioned in this video. Alan sent me some books. First of all, a book that Alan has never read, which is Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. I've heard some awesome things about this series. I've heard especially that it gets better. Alan said he hasn't read this, so this is an unofficial/official recommendation. Alan, do you want to read this book? You gave it to me, but you said you haven't read it. Are you asking me to review it for you? Or would you like to buddy read it? Because that would be fun. I've never buddy read a book with Alan except for the big group one. But Alan, thank you so much. I was so excited. And then also, Alan also sent Patrick Rothfuss's Name of the Wind, which is one of the books that I've had on my TBR for a while that I really, really, really want to get to. I've wanted to read this book for a significant amount of time, but it just hasn't sort of fit into the, I was reading the Cosmere stuff, and then it wasn't on a buddy read stuff. Most of the time for our buddy reads, we don't pick books in a series, because in case somebody jumps in, we don't want to leave them out. So this is a book I've really wanted to read for a long time. I've heard such amazing things about, and it just never worked. But Alan gave me this book, and now I have a wonderful excuse to read it because I want to read the books that people sent me. I'm super, super grateful. Thank you, Alan. I seriously cannot wait to read this book. I'm hoping to read it this month. I don't know how to convey how thankful and how excited I am to read this book. And then because it's an ebook and I don't have the physical copy here, one of my friends on the Discord, Michaela, sent me the book A Natural History of Dragons by Lady Trent, a memoir, or I think it's called something like that. But it's about dragons. She read the book, she loved it, she wants to binge the entire series, and she said that she thought I would love it. And she bought the book for me, which makes me excited to pick it up because I've been very, very overwhelmed with excitement and thankfulness for the people that bought me these books. I want to read them. Thank you so much for sending them. The fact that I have friends that want to share these stories, that both like stories that they love and also like maybe just as crazy but cool for me, is that I have books that people haven't read that they sent me, that they want to hear my opinion before they like pick it up. Like that is, it's crazy to me, but I'm so thankful that people value hearing what I have to say about stories in that way. Like, thank you guys. I hope that what I said there, that after I edit together, I can make some cohesion. Thank you guys very much. I'm looking forward to reading these books. I'm overwhelmed with gratefulness and happiness. For those of you that are still watching, what book are you most excited to read in March? Please let me know in a comment down below. Additionally, if you want to leave a comment, you can let me know which of these books that I'm excited to read you would like to hear my opinion on the most. I'm looking forward to reading all of these books that I can this month, and make videos talking about them for you guys and with you guys. If you'd like to be able to talk with me and my friends in a more like dedicated for better discussion way than just the YouTube comments, there is a link down below in the description for a Discord server that is public and everyone can join it. I have a lot of fun talking about books there with my friends. That's where I post buddy reads. That's where we just chat about random things. And I have genuinely like come to value the friends that I've made there so much. Like it's become a part of my everyday socialization in a way that I can't think about not having anymore. I can't imagine life without it. That sounds corny, but it's true. If you'd like to stick around the channel and see more videos from me, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. Thank you. I'm looking forward to be able to talk to you through another video soon. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
Sleep, no, I never get enough. Always looking out tired. Sleep, no, I never get enough. If it don't show up, I might get fired. Sleep, no, I never get enough. Always looking out tired. Sleep, no, I never get enough. If I don't show up, I might get fired.